If you're wondering about the use of medication for anxiety, anxiety disorders, or other mental health issues, you need to keep one important thing in mind, because this is why online helpers and content creators don't and shouldn't talk about it that often. Okay, so let's move on to the third reason why I think it's not okay for people like me to talk in detail about medication or to answer questions about medication. Why is that? What's reason number three? Reason number three why we can't really have this conversation in any meaningful way is that things change. That's right. Things change. You are a human being. You change all the time. Everything changes. Your body is going to change over time. Naturally, on the short term, your body will change. On the long term, your body will change, simply because you're aging every minute of every day. Your mind is going to change. Your beliefs are going to change. Your experiences will get factored into your mental models of the world, and that will change. Like, everything is in flux. Your morals might change. Your ethics might change. You might be exposed to different cultural things and shift in your cultural beliefs or your cultural affiliations. That will change. Depending on where you are in life and what's going on at any given time, your sort of risk reward calculations, which every medication involves, will change also. Like, everything is going to change over time. And so medication in anxiety disorders, anxiety recovery, and mental health in general is not a static point in time issue. It's simply not. It's a long-term issue. So medication, in the comment section on a YouTube video or an Instagram post on one day of 1 month of 1 week in the year 2025 is kind of useless, because in the end, the information about whether or not you should use medication for your anxiety or your recovery, how it's going to work, which one's going to work, which dose, how long do you have to take it, how are you going to get off it, like one conversation, one answer to one question, one comment on one day, one fixed point in time is kind of irrelevant, because that is part of a much larger issue. The decision to make medication, to take medication, the decision to keep taking medication, the decision to change medications, change doses, or possibly discontinue your use of medication is a long-term ongoing issue. That's going to change over time. Sometimes you're going to be thinking you need more. Sometimes you might be thinking you need less. Sometimes you're thinking you need to change it. Sometimes your doctor's going to think that. Sometimes you and your doctor are going to decide it's time to get off the medication. But this all happens over time as everything about you changes. Your body, your mind, your culture, your beliefs, your finances, your jobs, your relationships, your beliefs, your risk reward calculations, everything is going to change over time. So we cannot look at medication, especially big giant questions like, which one should I take? Do I need to take any at all? Can I get off it? And are they necessary for recovery? Those are single point in time when you ask that question, but you're asking about a thing that is a long-term proposition, right? So when it comes to the use of medication or the continued use of medication or management in the way you are taking or using or discontinuing use of medication, unless your favorite content creator, Instagrammer, TikToker, YouTuber, podcaster, author is a physician trained and experienced in prescribing and managing the use of psychiatric medications in this particular context. And unless they are qualified to help you that way, and unless they're going to literally check in with you at least once a week to see how you're doing and watch you change over time so they can help you adjust on the fly. And by the way, no TikToker, YouTuber, Instagrammer, blogger, influencer is doing that, because that simply doesn't scale. That's how you work with individual people. And that has nothing to do with the algorithmically driven platforms that we're on right now, like podcast videos and like endless scroll short videos. None of them are going to do that. So unless you find an online helper that is literally going to act as your psychiatrist, your doctor, your therapist, all of these things in an ongoing intimate relationship where they really get to know you and follow your progress over time and bring a shit ton of qualifications into that and feel like they want to take the time and effort to be involved with you on a regular basis for a very long time, don't ask them that. Now, I know I'm being pretty animated and maybe a little bit forceful and a little bit aggressive about this, but honestly, why won't I personally answer your medication questions? Well, it's for the most part, it's because things change over time. I don't even know you today, much less what's going to happen to you over the next 6 months or 6 years. And I don't belong in that equation. when you interact with me, or when you interact with anybody who's making videos or podcasts or writing books or making reels or TikToks about this, you are only seeing us in one small snapshot of time. You see me, I never see you. So I simply have no voice or role in your medication decisions or management. That's just the way it is. This is not a simple point in time question, because when it comes to taking medication or continuing to take medication or not taking medication or going back on medication, this is an ongoing issue that changes as you change, because everything changes, including your body, mind, and the circumstances that you are in. So it makes no sense for somebody like me to give you one answer to a medication question on one day in June of 2025. It just doesn't make any sense. If you are interested in maybe hearing some expert opinions on that, if you follow the Disordered podcast that I do with Josh Fletcher, and you could find that at disordered.fm, we will probably be bringing on some people who are qualified to talk about that. We can have an educated, open discussion about the pros and cons, the things you probably need to be aware of as you're making these decisions, because no matter which way you go, I'm a huge fan of well-informed consent when it comes to the use of medication or discontinuation of use of medication. So if you check out disordered.fm, pretty soon we're going to have some people on who can have those kind of discussions with us. And we think they'll be enlightening and informative and hopefully actionable for you guys. But the bad news is, even within those discussions with qualified experts, you're not going to be told what to do, because that just can't happen in this kind of model. So everybody changes, life changes, the universe changes. Imagine that. Again, that's also not news. The fact that you and I and life and the universe and everything changes is really more about philosophy than anything else, which means it's about a story for another video at another time, or probably more accurately, another YouTube channel that isn't this one. Anyway, that is the third and final video in this little mini series about the pitfalls of talking too much about medication on online or scroll platforms. I hope you either learned something that you can take onto other platforms and to other content creators' platforms, or you learned something about your own specific situation, or maybe you learned something about me and now you understand me a little bit more, which hopefully helps you consume my content in a little bit more useful way, or lets you know what you need to steer clear from or go toward. So I appreciate the fact that you hung around, if you did, for all three of these videos, because that was a combined 20 minutes of sort of ranting, which is not something that I want to do all that often, but I kind of had to do on these. So thanks for hanging out. I hope you got something out of it. I'll be back again in the next week or two with another series of videos about another topic. I don't know what that is, but I will be here. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for letting me rant. I hope you got something out of it. I'll see you in the next one.